So a judge in the case for the Charlie Kirk murder suspect ruling to release a transcript from the earlier hearing that was sealed into now. And it could be a sign of what to expect for a decision on whether cameras will be allowed in court. Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett joins us now. Greg, I will say it is interesting. I've never heard of a request for the transcript in closed court to be released for the public. Is this a sign that more transparency is going to come in this case?
Yeah, I think so, Lawrence, and it's a great point. Look, under federal and state law, the media does have a right to access. And although the defense has urged the judge to ban cameras from the courtroom, and they'll continue to argue that, it appears that the judge, Tony Graff, is on the path to allowing televised coverage, and for pretty good reason. I mean, if people are to have trust in our justice system, they have to be able to see it with their own eyes. And that's why our framers did away with the so-called secret star chambers, where the public never knew if the process was fair. Often it was not because of that. So they embedded the right to a public trial in the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution. What does that mean today, where an entire nation is interested in this case? The audience should not be limited to a small number of people who can squeeze into the courtroom. And thanks to cameras and instantaneous transmission, trials can be accessible to everybody. And the truth that unfolds in a courtroom does counteract misinformation and the many conspiracy theories that have tended to proliferate here.
So, Greg, just to play devil's advocate here, because what the defense is alleging, even though they got a smirking, client there that is laughing in court, smirking, is that the view of him is going to be prejudicial to their client. Is there a risk that if the court allows the cameras, that they may use this for the eventual appeal process? Because it's going to happen. It's a death penalty case, so there's going to be appeals. Could they use this as an argument?
Yes, and that's always a risk. Good point. But generally speaking, transparency and openness does supersede that risk, which I would describe here as remote. Look, the judge is going to allow Robinson to wear street clothes. He will have restraints, but limited restraints. He'll be able to use one hand to write notes and so forth. And the judge ordered that the media cannot televise with the camera those restraints. So it is protecting prejudicial images that might taint the large jury pool in this case, and then obviously at the time of trial as well. I think it was a solid, reasonable ruling by the judge.
Greg, on another note, and I know this is a tough question for our audience because Charlie Kirk was adored by this audience, and the alleged suspect here, the evidence against him is overwhelming here. Whether it was the text messages, the confession to his parents that eventually turned him in, or the fact that, there's video and forensic evidence against him. So what is the goal of the defense here? Just to protect his rights, to make sure that the prosecution prove that case? Or is it to get him some sort of plea deal where death penalty is not on the table?
Well, the defense will try to knock out some of that evidence you've described that is so damning in pretrial motions. That's going to fail, likely.
Right.
Their ultimate goal, I think, is probably not an acquittal, but to save their client's life in the second phase of the trial, the death penalty stage. And look, I wouldn't rule out a plea deal like Brian Kohlberger in Idaho, a guilty plea at the 11th hour that eventually spared his life. And, the great Clarence Darrow, the best defense attorney who ever lived in the so-called crime of the century, the Leopold and Loeb case, really set the template for many defenses in cases like this. At the last moment, he had his clients plead guilty on the day the trial was set to begin, and then he mounted a brilliant, incredible defense in the penalty phase that eventually saved their lives. A 2-day closing argument that brought tears to the judge, who in the end gave them stiff sentences instead of the hangman. So, we'll wait and see what happens in this particular case. But I guarantee you, the goal of the defense team here is to save Tyler Robinson's life.
It is going to be a long year ahead of us, a lot of court cases, but we're going to be following it every step of the way. Greg, thanks so much, brother.
Thanks, Lawrence.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.